Of course, we will,
Until we
if,
get to.
no, what they'll do is hopefully they will put in a new floor, replace the carpet there. Hopefully they will paint it. I'm hoping that they will do all of that when they're redoing the base madrash as well.
We'll come sukkahs and we won't fit.
You know what? If that's the worst thing,
Alibi,
right? Exactly. When we get closer to the start of the new season and we get back up to as many as 20 guys, which we can have, all right? That's one thing. In the meantime, you've got to realize that if we get 14, 15
We can. sit
off
there.
season, not only that, but that's more than what used to be. I remember participating when we had 5, 6, maybe we got a minion, maybe.
Well, it's the
You know?
extraordinary ability of the Magi.
No, it isn't. It has nothing to do with the Magid here. I believe it. In the Daf,
Where's Reese?
he's taking his time coming. I believe it. All right, I'm going to start the sponsors.
Everyone, if he wants a better.
Okay. Gentlemen, let's get underway.
I don't see anything wrong with the seats. I think we should have the guard turn away the women who don't have covered arms and hair.
All right, the year of learning, Suanarni Garlic in memory of Malka Perlman and Philip Mann. And Yisrael David ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Beryl ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Yosef Meir ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Henya Rivka Pro Rosner, Bat Harav Tzvi Hirsch. And a memory of family murdered in the Holocaust. Arav Tzvi Hirsch ben Shlomo Yaakov, Sarah bat Ephraim, Yisrael David ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Ephraim ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Adia bat Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Miriam bat Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Pesel bat Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Shalom ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Shlomo Yaakov ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Shmuel ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch. Leslie and Gail Kaplan in memory of their parents, Harry and Marjorie Sedell, Irving and Pearl Kaplan. Children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren of Toby Paris, Sarah Tova bat Yisrael Dov in her memory. Charlie Gelfenstein and Sam Levine in memory of Ramona Levine, Rachel Mata bat Asher. Friends of Nina Monester and Achama Azna bat Yitzchak Aharon. Many friends of Stephen Vigdor, Lezecher Nishmat Simcha Melech ben Meir Leib Halevi. Friends of Marcy Kurtz in memory of her great niece Leah Bracha. We have a month of learning by Lydia and Abe Krause's many friends in honor of their 50th anniversary. Jill and Perry Meltzer in memory of her father Yaakov ben Yosef. A week of learning by Charlie Gelfenstein and Sam Levine in memory of Charlie's wife and Sam's sister, Menucha Sarah bat Yechiel Michal, and in memory of Sam's mother and Charlie's mother-in-law, Zissel bat Yehoshua. Leslie and Gail Kaplan in memory of his mother, Pesha bat Shmuel Yitzchak Halevi b'Tzipora. Andrea and David Dolmy in memory of her mother, Elutzina bat Shimshon, Minnie Shavrik in memory of her husband, Yeshayahu ben Nehemiah Mordechai. Today being the 25th, we have a day of learning by Alan and Rosemary Katz in memory of his father, Yaakov David ben Israel Tzvi, by Jerry and Rochelle Ebner in memory of his brother, Avram ben Yitzchak Isaac, by Harriet Brick in memory of her dear friend, Leila Katz, Leah Mitcha bat Yehuda. And that is it. Shemas have an aliyah, crank Rafia, Velti Yeshua Shemat Aliyah, Kol B'nai Yisrael, a good gebenched yar. That's Shabbos. Okay, I also want us that are learning for a refuah shlema for Yosef ben Zahava Esther, the son of a member who is in serious condition in a hospital in New York. Okay, I mean, for the
Yosef ben Zahava.
Yeah, I mean, it must be significant because the rabbi called from New York to the office to call me yesterday to give the name to be sure to recite Tehillim last
Coming
night.
back before Pesach? Yeah.
Of course.
He's coming back Monday. I know because I have to sell my.
Yeah, no, he had something, I guess, whatever. All right, so I just want us to keep that name in mind as well. Okay, yesterday we did not finish Yud Zayin Amud Beis, right? Excuse me. So we are
About 3/4 of the way down.
11 lines up from the bottom of the Amud, right? Snan. Okay. There is, I think in Rashi, it says, V'lema halacha kedivrei ha'omer. Okay, if you need a parallel location. Okay,
Ain't Zika.
right. So what happens? Tznan, says our text. Yavam tov shemeta. We have the, and this is what we're discussing. Okay, the Yavama passes away. Mutar ba'achota. Okay, we're saying now, the question was, what someone said that it was mutar ba'ima. Now somebody else is saying with a text that's permitted with her sister. Okay, ba'achota, what with it? And ba'ama ba'ima lo. Would seem to imply with the sister, yes, with the mother, no. Who hadinda filu ba'ima? But the Gemara then comes back and says, and seems to imply, no, it's valuable with the mother as well.
You can marry your almost mother-in-law.
Well, no, think of the following. Think of the following. Let's just, your example could be, say he married a situation where there were two daughters, okay? And the fellow was marrying a young woman before she was,
30 years old.
right, before
The
she
Obama
was,
died, she's already dead, so there's no mother-in-law, daughter.
Unless
right, well, that's why,
relationship.
that's what the argument is about marrying her. But I'm saying, think of the scenario where he married, let's say, okay,
12-year-old.
a 12-year-old. That's
So
the
she's
example.
30, or she's
Okay.
28.
Whatever. All right? Okay. All right. Who adinda filu ba'ima? Va'ide detana resha, ishto shemeta, mutar ba'achota, and aval ba'ima lo. And the fact, right, that it was taught initially, okay, in that with regards that if his wife dies, right, he's permitted with her sister, and yes, with her sister, yes, but with her mother, no. Dahavyala isur deoraita. Excuse me, and that was clearly a Torah prohibition. It was one of the erva, right? Tananami seifa. We also teach then at the end afterwards, mutar ba'achota, permitted with the sister. V'Rav Yehuda Amar, and says Rav Yehuda as follows: Shomeret Yabam Shemeta. Okay, so a woman is a widow and she's waiting for Yibum, and that woman dies. Okay, Asur Ba'ima, prohibited from the marriage, the mother. Alma, therefore, Kasavar Yesh Zika. This seems to imply that there is indeed this special bond. V'lema halacha kedivrei ha'omer yesh zika. So let us say, therefore, that the law must be according to the one who holds that zika is a very specific bond, almost parallel to marriage. Almost parallel to marriage. Okay? Ihava amar hachi. If I would have said that, right? Hava amina, I might have thought and considered the following. Okay, hani mili bechad maybe this is only where there was one.
One available brother.
Well, I was going to get to that when I got to the next part. Aval betray. But in other words, with two, in other words, if you have two potential Yabamim, as opposed to clearly one single Yabam, okay, right? What happens? Aval betray ein zika. We might say there in that case, maybe there is not that same quality or kind of
So the
bond.
second brother.
Okay. I'll accept that, but I don't think that's only the case.
No, but the point here is the Zika apply to all the males in the line?
Exactly.
Or does it apply only
To the one who is in line
Right,
to
but
be
not
the Yabam.
oldest or
Right.
whatever.
That's a better explanation. That's a better explanation.
Any brother is able to do it, even though it's protocol.
Exactly, Marty.
That's the argument.
Marty, that's exactly the case. That comes back to why Art Scroll again focused in its introduction on
Zika.
the quality of Zika as opposed to Koren, where it said there were 2 or 3 different kinds of questions. The first one being not born at the same time,
Yeah, but
and then going on to other examples.
the way I was trying to explain it, if you have a brother who's born post Nisa, he, according to Yesh Zika, he does have a Zika, he just has an impediment to acting. Because otherwise a lot of the Gemara is inexplicable. Why can't he just get married to his sister, whatever?
Or
Because he
okay.
has a Zika bond, but because of the timing of his birth,
Okay.
he has an impediment.
No, I
from
understand that,
exercise.
but I'm going to just spin it a little differently based on what Marty was saying, and saying, is the quality of the Zika bond the same for later brothers and even births compared to the one who was, so to speak, first in line?
So but you got a guy in the batter.
Okay, keep right. So what happens? All right. Hava mina hachanam ani nemili, right? Bechad va betray ein zika. Vaha ki pligi betray pligi. And here, where they're having the disagreement, we're saying that they're talking about a situation where there were 2 situations. Ella, rather, I amar hachi. If we say that, let's go over now to today's Daf Yudchet. Hava amina. I would have said perhaps as follows: Michayim, when she's alive. Aval achar mita, but after death, pak'ah lazika, dissolved. Okay, was I think Art Scroll's translation, and I liked it better than Koren in this case, right? By the way, Eric isn't here, but Eric raised the question about Koren's translation of whether the Zika was substantial, okay? And he was bothered by that phrase.
Because it's closer to marriage than to nothing.
Right, okay? The validity, the quality of the Zika would
The
have.
problem with substantial.
Right, it
is
was,
It doesn't allow for
Exactly,
minor.
right.
Minor makes it substantial.
right, okay? That's why he had a problem with it, and I agreed with him. All right, I didn't go to Rabbi Weinrib and complain, okay? Okay, anyway. Yes, Sid,
The first person who was supposed to do Yibam,
yeah,
and he decides, I don't want to do it, go to the next brother, and he do that.
Sid, I'm not gonna answer you for a very specific reason. The Gemara will, okay? So let's wait. Yeah, so let's wait till we get to the Gemara, okay? And we'll see if the Gemara answers your question. Fair enough? Okay, all right, so what happens? Kamash Malan, says the Gemara here, the Zika bichdei lo pak'ah. I'm going to translate it in 2 ways. that Zika without cause or without an act,
Without
That
an
would be a better.
okay? All right, so that's why I wanted to use both.
And it's even survives that.
Okay, lo paka does not dissolve. Okay, now why do we? Well, I just want to clarify. I also feel that the phrase without an act here is important because remember, it goes back to what we said before, which was in regards to the first parak. Do we say that only Yibum is the mitzvah and that the chalitza is simply the flip side of it? Okay. Or do we say that chalitza is a mitzvah under certain circumstances? Right. Because he has to do an act. In other words, to break the Zika.
The Zika survives even her death because there was because the Yavam did nothing.
Right, we'll get to that.
That's why he
We'll-
can't marry.
We'll get to that. That's later on when we go on. But right.
I mean,
Okay.
that's really what we're saying right now.
Yeah, well,
He
yeah,
didn't
hold
do
on.
it Misa.
go ahead.
So he can't.
mess that Chalitza and Yavim go hand in hand. You can't have Chalitza, you can't have Yavim. I mean, you can.
There are
That's not
situations.
true.
There are situations where you can't do yibum, but you have to do
If there's a
chalitza.
suffix and you can't do Yibum, you still do
Chalitza. Yeah.
No. There are cases
Yeah.
where we say that the male may not do Yibum,
Yibum,
but because there is at least a potential Zika,
you must do chalitza. Okay, so
So
it's,
there is chalitza where
And that's coming up
Yibum
it's
is
right.
not
It's going to come up soon.
under normal circumstances, it's a toss-up.
Right. It's not an all. It's not an either or. It's not an all or nothing. Okay, and so that and there are situations where we've seen already that it could be that you don't do either. Okay,
If she's free.
right. So let's go on.
Chalitza can never be considered dioraisa, right? Chalitza is
Yes.
strictly the Rabbanan.
No, it's the.
Deraisa,
Chalitza is dioraisa.
deraisa, yeah, clearly. Lema misayele. Shall we say then that this supports the view of Rabbi Yehuda? Okay, Yavamto Shemeta, that when he says, when the Yavama, okay, she has died, the widow, right? Mutar ba'achota, we say that it's permitted with the sister, her sister, ba'achota with her sister, and yes, be'ima lo, but with her mother no. Hu hadin da'afilu be'ima. But then we went on to say, the Rabbi Yehuda's view was that even with the mother, right? Va'ide detana reisha ishto shemeta mutar ba'achota. And since it was taught by a Tana initially, okay, at the beginning, that when his wife dies, it's permitted for his sister, dafka ba'achota, particularly with his sister,
That's only the sister.
right? Aval be'imalo, but with the mother, no. Dahavya la isura deoraita, because there that would be a Torah prohibition. Tana nami sefa, we also teach then at the end, right? Mutar ba'achota, also permitted with the sister. Now,
Just stylistic.
okay. Now, Meitiv Rav Huna Bar Chia. Rav Huna Bar Chia is just going to disagree and say the following. And he's going to present a spin on that scenario. Okay? Right? Which we sort of saw in the Seifa of yesterday's new Mishnah of the new Perek. Right? Asaba ma'amar umeit. If he made, I'm going to say simply for the moment, a ma'amar, okay? What we might call a,
It's like, it's
it's a yibum,
analogous to Kedushin, but not necessarily in a certain way.
more,
That's how he holds.
okay. I was going to simply say to erusin, okay? All right. Is a better parallel because with erusin you have a document,
Right.
Okay, with ma'amar, you need a document. Okay, but there's nothing done beyond that
So there's-
yet. Okay, so what happens? He made this ma'amar. He made a betrothal, a commitment. Okay, with a document. Okay, so the reason I want to make that parallel, okay, is that then begins to tell us why there are some who feel that the Zika bond is much closer parallel to actual marriage. Okay, while there are other views that are going to say, no, the Zika bond is not really a parallel to marriage. Okay, so let's come back now. Asaba ma'amar umet. Okay, what happens? Shniya choletzet velo mityabem. The
other co-wife,
okay, the next, all right,
co-wife of the.
All right.
The brother,
okay, the what?
co-wife of the brother.
All it says to me is shniya,
Yeah, but that
the
means
second.
Rivka has,
Okay.
Rivka,
Okay.
Ruvain did.
Oh, wait,
Mimar with Rivka.
okay.
Ruvain has
Yeah,
another.
I
wife,
follow,
Leah.
I follow.
So
Hold on,
that's the
hold on,
woman
hold
we're
on.
talking about.
Hold on. The reason I only want to translate it second,
Right.
okay? All right, let's go on and see. The second choletzet goes through chalitza, velo mityabemet, and does not become have
Cannot
yibum.
be
Okay, all right. Now I only want to point out, okay, why does it use the words choletzet mityabemet?
because it's her.
Because it has to tell us, therefore, that it's her. Because otherwise, were it to be him, the second in line, the Gemara would have used other language. Exactly. Exactly. That's why I want us to be sensitive a little bit there. So says the Gemara, Tama da'avad ba ma'amar. Why? And here we come back to the masculine language. Why? Because here he made with her a ma'amar. Okay? Ha lo avad ba ma'amar. But here, if he did not make with her a ma'amar, shniya nami yevume miyabma. Okay? Then the second, namely the second, the co-wife, is that right? Would also be eligible for Yibum. Okay. Ve'i amart yesh zika. And if you're going to say that there is this special Zika bond, right? Havyela sarat eshet achiv shelo haya be'olamo bezika. If that's the case, then you might say that that, so to speak, second woman, all right, is the co-wife of the wife of a brother who wasn't in existence at the time, okay? And therefore, how does that apply to the
But there is a Zika bond.
Zika bond there? Okay, Amar Rava, says Rava, Hu hadin the afal gav de lo avad ba ma'amar. According to Rava, right? He says the same applies even if he did not make with her a ma'amar.
Mimer doesn't do that much.
Okay, that's his seems to be the case. Now, can we tell therefore that he feels Zika is a parallel to marriage? The answer I would think would be yes. Okay.
You don't need Mimer. Zika itself is very
Right.
strong.
Okay. So let's go on. Shniya michaletz chalza. The second, in other words, that other woman needs chalitza. Yuvume lo miyabma. But yibum is not appropriate under those circumstances. Vahadikatani ma'amar. And the fact that it, I'm going to put again quotes, simply said it was a ma'amar was done. La'afuki mi Beit Shammai. This is to exclude the view of Beit Shammai. Da'amre ma'amar koneh kinyan gamor. Who they say that the use of the ma'amar is as if it establishes a
Mamish like the
solid bond and therefore exactly
It's
like marriage.
identical to Nisuyi.
Right, exactly like marriage. Kamash Malan, that's what it comes to teach. Tive Abaye. Along comes Abaye to challenge, right? And he gives the following example. Shnei achin ba'olam echad. Two brothers living at the same time. Umeid echad mehen below vlad. And one of them dies without progeny. Va'amad hasheni hazeh la'asot ma'amar b'yambamto. And the second brother, so to speak, stands up and
Prepares to do
writes a ma'amar with the first brother's widow. Okay, what happened? Velo hispik la'asot ba ma'amar ad shenolad lo ach. And he didn't complete the writing and the delivery of the ma'amar until a third brother was born. Okay, and then Umayt, the brother who was in the process of doing the ma'amar, he dies also. Okay, okay, so we're left now to the baby brother.
have little label.
Okay, what happens? Says Abaye, Harishona. Okay, the widow of the oldest brother, right? The
Of
first,
deceased.
right? Or the first deceased.
No, he's old.
Okay, Yotz'a mishum eshet achiv shelo haya ba'olamo. She goes out, she's exempt because little baby brother was not born
When her husband.
when her husband either married or died.
So therefore we hold Zika is not a solid.
Well, we'll get to that yet. Hold on. Ushniya, okay, and the second,
Meaning
the wife of the brother who theoretically was involved in the ma'amar but died before it was completed. Okay, o choletzet o mityabemet. She can have either chalitza or yibum.
Which means she has to wait 13 years.
Well,
No.
Yeah.
she has to wait
The
till
little
he's.
baby is in a cradle.
She has to wait till he's a gadol. He's got to wait till a bar mitzvah. That's the case. V'iyamarta yesh zikah. And if you say, by the way, I said yesterday, there was an Israeli movie some years back, right? That did that.
And you tell her she can't be married.
Like an aguna.
That's correct.
Yeah,
She's
right,
the equivalent of an aguna.
Right. Right?
She has a Zika.
Right? V'iyamarta yesh zikah. And if you're saying there is this zika bond, havyalat sarat eshet achiv shelo haya ba'olamo bezika. Okay, then we have a situation where there's also a co-wife of the wife of a brother, okay, not during the time of existence, with regards to the Zika bond. Hamani, according to whom is that? Rabbi Meir. That's according to the view of Rabbi Meir. Da'amar, who says, Ein Zika, that in that situation there is no Zika.
No, in any situation.
Okay,
He holds Ein Zika, period.
well, I didn't want to go that far yet. Okay, I'm saying just at this point he's saying Ein Zika. Is he going to say it never is Zika?
Well, we're about to
We're
learn.
going to see that. That's why I said I didn't want to jump here. Umis verele, the Rabbi Meir Ein Zika. And are we really of the opinion that Rabbi Meir does not hold by the Zika bond concept? Vahatnan. But aren't we taught again in a Mishnah? Arba'a achim. Now we got 4 brothers, right? Here's where the diagrams would come in.
Oh, no,
Okay. No, I didn't do one
I was
today.
sure you
Okay.
thought this one.
I thought of it, believe me. Shnayim mehem nisuin shtei achayot. Two of the four brothers are married to two sisters. Okay? Umetu hanisuin ha'achayot. All right? And who died? And both of the brothers married to sisters died. Okay? Hare elu chotzot velo mityabmot. These women must have chalitza from the other two brothers and not yibum. Okay? Ve'isal gedatach savar Rabbi Meir ein zika. And if you might have thought that Rabbi Meir is not of the view that the zika bond conceptually exists,
The two sisters are now.
are widows. The two
And they
sisters
both
are
have
widows,
secrets and the two living
brothers. All right. Okay, guys, come on.
because they're sisters.
Let's go on in the Gemara, please.
We'll
Please.
see. It's a.
All right.
it's a hypothetical.
Okay. Hani, come on. One shear, please. Hani, Hani, mitre bate ka'atan. These two, I'm going to say women, come from the same household.
Betrayed.
No, they
Two.
come from
Me-
different, one's
me-
woman's wife.
They
one's
come from
Hani,
two
slave
mitra, oh, they
wife.
come from two different, they're from two different households. That's what I want to say. Hi, liyabeim chada, v'hai liyabeim chada. Let one brother do yibum to one, and one brother do yibum to the other. Okay?
No problem,
Right.
except.
Except what happens? Leolam ein zika. But we say here there is no. Why? Mishum de kesavar. Why? Why? Because we might be concerned. Asur levatel mitzvat yevamim. That it's prohibited to do away with the, to nullify the mitzvah of yibum. The dilma, okay, ad miyabeim chad mayit idach. Why? Because perhaps lest we're concerned that the one who was supposed to do yibum dies, right? And you only have the other. V'kabatalt mitzvat yibamam. And therefore you would have a result of the fact that you would have to nullify the mitzvah of yibum.
Because the one surviving brother can't. marry
Can't do two
sisters.
sisters.
Yes, it does, which is weird.
Then you're getting rid of evil.
That's what the concern is. That's the try to prove. That-
But you
That's
can
to
do
try to
chalitza
prove that
now.
Rabbi Meir does hold by Zika.
You can
Okay.
do chalitza, and
Right.
then you have no problems. if you
All right.
do yibum or
Okay.
chalitza with the other
Right.
woman later.
Ve'i ein Zika, right? And if there is no Zika, says the Gemara,
No big deal.
if Rabbi Meir really holds that there is no Zika, tibatel, so let the mitzvah be nullified, right? Daha Rabban Gamliel Amar ein Zika, because here we would say Rabban Gamliel says there is no Zika, umutar levatel mitzvat yevamim, and it's permissible to nullify the mitzvah of.
Meaning not to be
Yeah.
concerned about a theoretical possibility.
Well, I don't know about that.
Well, because they're gonna say. "Vada
Well, we'll
and
see.
something."
We'll see. The Tnan, as we learn in the Mishnah, Rabban Gamliel Omer said, "Im me'ana," if she refuses, "Ma'ana," she refuses. Ve'im lo me'ana, and if she doesn't refuse, tamtin ad shetagdil v'teitzei halezo mishum achot isha. Okay? That she wait and she reaches a certain age where you have to nullify the marriage in any case because it's in a situation of erva, and therefore you have to do away with it. Right? Amarle. So he said to him, the Rabban Gamliel, the Rabbi Meir Karamit, you're making a challenge between Rabban Gamliel and Rabbi Meir, right? Lo hachi ka'amrinan. No, that's not what I'm saying. Rabbi Meir chi eish afilu l'sveika. Rabbi Meir was concerned, suspected, even where there was the possibility of doubt. Rabban Gamliel, afilu levadai lo chiyesh. And we're saying then that Rabbi Gamliel, in regards to a very clear, specific situation, he wasn't suspect. Dilma man de lo chiyesh, afilu levadai lo chiyesh. Perhaps the one who didn't suspect, okay, in that situation, even for a clear situation, wasn't concerned, didn't suspect. Uman de chiyesh, and the one who did suspect, Rabbi Meir, afilu l'sfeika chiyesh, even for a doubtful situation, was suspecting. Amar le Abaye le Rav Yosef. And so Abaye then went to Rav Yosef and says to him, Ha de Rav Yehuda. But here, what about the fact that Rav Yehuda, the Shmuel he, okay, was following the statements
Opinion
of
of
Shmuel, right? The Tnan, as was taught by Shmuel. Okay, good. Right? Shomeret Yabam. What about a Shomeret Yabam if she's waiting for Yibum? Shakidesh Achiv et Achota. Okay, that one of the brothers of the Yabam married the sister of the Yabama. Okay, Mishum Rabbi Yehuda ben Batera Amru. Okay, and in the name of Rabbi Yehuda ben Batera, what did they say? Omrim lo, they tell him, Hamtan ad shiaseh achicha ma'aseh. Wait for your brother to do something, to act. In other words, either do yibum or do chalitza. Okay, and then, okay, we'll know what the status is, right? Because even that other brother, Marty, here's your point, right? Even that other brother, even though he's, so to speak, first in line to do Yibum, even that other brother still has some level of Zika to the Yabama.
The same level.
Okay?
The same level until someone acts. Well, that's the whole point. If it is Zika, all the siblings have the same level of Zika,
that
and their behavior.
that may
is
have
the
only been
same.
Rabbi Yehuda ben Batera's view.
If there's Zika, we just learned earlier that even an unborn child who comes along after his oldest brother or older brother is dead, even he has Zika.
Okay, I'm
So
not,
if there's
but I'm
Zika,
not,
they all
I'm
have
not saying they don't have Zika. I'm saying the question seems to me, at least, is at the same level, the same achrayus.
It
Okay,
has to be, otherwise we would have to say that if you have three siblings, while it's customary to give the first dibs to the oldest, even if the youngest chaps a ride and does yibum or chalitza, it's over. Is that not correct?
that's true.
So therefore, they all have equal Zika. It's only customary to do it in age order. They all have equal Zika. It's only customary to do it in age order.
Okay, I hear you. I'm not totally, personally not totally convinced. Okay, all right. Okay, I think that's part of the issue of clarifying what is the Zika bond too. Okay, all right, let's go on. So what did Rabbi Yehuda ben Batera tell him? Omrim lo hamtein ad sheyaseh achicha ma'aseh. Clearly he has told to wait, right? Until your brother does something, right? Okay, so what happens? Va'amar Shmuel, halacha Rabbi Yehuda ben Batera. And Shmuel said the law is like Rabbi Yehuda ben Batera. Yeah, so that would be not a yesh zika. Amar le, so he says to him, De'i derav mai. So if that's the case, what then is the view of Rav?
What if this
Okay,
is Rob's
in situation. Okay? What happens? Amarle Kashya the Rav Adarav. Here then we have a problem, okay, with one statement of Rav versus another statement of Rav. According to Rav Huna, Rav says there is no Zika. Okay? Dilma Amorai Minhu. Okay, perhaps Va'ali B'Darav. Are we saying here that there's a machloket among Amoraim? Okay, and it's based on the,
And they're both quoting Rav.
and they're both citing the view of Rav. Kevan de Itmar Mishmei de Shmuel Behedya Umishmei de Rav Kemorai. Since it's stated in the name of Shmuel, I'm going to say explicitly in his name, okay? But in the name of Rav, it is only cited secondhand, so to speak, okay? In that situation, Lo Shavkinen Mishmei de Shmuel Behedya Umokminen Kema'arai Le'liba de Rav. We do not establish it according to the view of the second-hand information, but we don't leave it and we stay with the explicit Vadai, explicit statement of Shmuel, says the Gemara. Now, Amar Rav Kahana, says Rav Kahana, Amrita l'shma'ata kame de Rav Zavid. He said, Rav Kahana is telling us, I once said this lesson before Rav Zavid, Minahadeya, all right? Amar, and he said to me, Atun hachimat nitula, you teach this
Like that.
Mishnah in the following manner, Anan behedya matniti. We teach it very explicitly.
You actually alter the price.
Okay, and this is how they teach it. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel. Rav Yehuda says in the name of Shmuel, Shomeret Yabam Shemeta, the widow who is waiting for Yibum and she dies, Asur Ba'ima, it is forbidden to have him with her mother. Alma Kasavar Yesh Zika. Therefore, we clearly hold about the strength of the Zika bond.
And we clearly hold Shmuel says yes,
Right.
Zika. That's the argument.
Va'azda Shmuel Latame, and Shmuel follows his reasoning. The Amar Shmuel, as Shmuel says, Halacha Rabbi Yehuda ben Batera, that the law is like Rabbi Yehuda ben Batera, implying very clearly Yesh Zika. Okay, V'utzrichi, and we need this.
Both prices.
Okay, right? What do we need? We're going to see. The Iyashmeinen Yesh Zika, right? If we say clearly that there is this strong Zika bond, Hava Amina Hani Mili Bechad. I might have said that this is only in a case where there is a single Yabam,
Surviving brother.
single available Yabam. Aval betray, when there are multiple, right? Lo, that's not the case. Kamash Malan comes to teach us that that's not the
That
situation.
all the Zikas are equal strength.
Well, I'm not going there yet.
That's what it says.
I'm not going there yet. Ve'iyash me'inin halachak Rabbi Yehuda ben Batera. And if I'm saying that the law is like Rabbi Yehuda ben Batera, Hava Amina Hani Mili Michayim. I might have said that this was regarding when they're alive,
When the woman's
when
alive.
she's a living person. Aval la'achar mita, but after death, pak'ah la zika, dissolved for her is the zika.
She's dead.
Of course. Kamash Malan comes to teach us that's not the case. The zika bechdai lo pak'ah. That zika without act,
Action by a
cause,
male.
is not dissolved. Okay, and we finish that. Okay, so that ends that particular Mishnah, and it implies that there is a Zika bond. It's just Michael and I disagree on whether it is equal for all the brothers or whether there is, so to speak, a slight difference in that level of responsibility. Okay, let's go on now. Matnitin, our new Mishnah. And again, if I had the whiteboard, we would have done another diagram. Okay? Shnei achim, umet echad mehi. Two brothers, all right? And what happens? Umet echad, and one of them dies. V'yabam hasheni et eshet achiv. And the second brother, okay, performed yibum on the deceased, on the widow of the first brother. Okay, what happens? All right, ve'achar kach nolad lahen ach umet. Okay, so what happens here? And afterwards, all right, there is right, a birth, all right, and then someone dies. Okay.
The Yavam.
Hold on. Wait, hold on. Okay, so what happens? We've got two brothers, all right, Ruvain and Shimon. Okay, Ruvain dies. Shimon does Yibum with Ruvain's wife.
So now
Okay.
she's Mrs. Ruvain Shimon.
Okay, so we've got that. Now Levi is born. All right. Now, problem with the language of the Mishnah I found was that the language is nolad lahen.
Meaning to the two dead brothers,
Okay.
or one living.
So why didn't it say nolad lahem?
Because both of them are alive, because this is a mace after. So they both.
So
Ruvain
the
and Shimon were
implication, right?
alive,
So, all right.
and
So what
they're-
happens is Levi is born to the same family as Ruvain and Shimon. That's what we have to understand. Okay, I want to take it bit by bit. All right. So we have now a third brother. Okay.
It's the reason it's Aramaic instead of.
Okay. So what happens now? Harishona, the wife of the first brother, Shimon's wife.
Ruvain's.
All right, I'm sorry, right. Ruvain's wife is the first brother. Yotz'a mishum eshet achiv shelo haya ba'olamo. All right, so she's excluded.
She can't marry Levi
All right.
because she was Ruvain's
Well, she's
wife.
simply right. Okay, so he can't do right. So that happens to Levi with her. Okay, shelo haya ba'olamo. Vahashni'ah. Okay, the woman who is the wife of Shimon,
Shimon's wife.
right? Mishum tsarata. She's exempt now because of being the co-wife.
Co-wife of Mrs.
Right.
Ruvain Shimon.
Okay? And I'm going to put in the word here, im, asaba ma'amar. Okay, if Levi had done a ma'amar, umate,
Not Levi.
Not
No.
Shimon.
Shimon, if Shimon,
If
right.
Shimon had not done Yibum.
If-
he
right.
only did
Yeah, if
Ma'am.
Shimon had not done Yibum, but had simply done a ma'amar, umate, okay, and then he died, right? What happens to Mrs. Shimon? Shniya choletzet velo mityabemet. She needs chalitza and no yibum.
So according to this Mishnah, the Zika is not on the level of a marriage. It exists, but it's not
On the level of a marriage, right?
That's why he has to do chalitza,
Right.
because it exists, but he can't do yibum
Right.
because
So let's
she's
go on.
a shasaf.
Okay, so what happens? All right. Rabbi Shimon Omer, he says as follows.
He argues
Okay, he's going to raise two
he
challenges.
argues with both clauses.
Okay, Rabbi Shimon's going to give us a disagreement on two levels. Rabbi Shimon Omer, miabeim la'eze mehen sheyirtzeh, o choletz la'eze mehen sheyirtzeh. He says he can do yibum to either one or chalitza to either one. Okay, so on the one hand, it's very clear to us that he's disagreeing with the, well, I didn't want to get there yet. Okay, on the one hand, I want to get to the point that he disagrees with the earlier statement that even though Levi was not in existence at the time that Ruvain was around, okay, even though we saw that was generally a rule of Yibum, he disagrees with that case, all right? That was our first Mishnah, that the newborn, okay, in that situation, he disagrees there, but he also disagrees in the other situation, that the newborn brother acts even after the act of the second brother. Yes, Ted.
The two brothers are died. And Levi hasn't been born yet.
Then
Are the
nothing happens.
widows free to do whatever they want?
Yeah, because there's no brother.
There's no one to do Yibum, and so there's no one to do either Yibum or Chalitza in that situation. So they're available widows. That's
They
it.
move to Century Village and bring castle.
All right. Anyway, so what happens now? So I want us to understand then that Rabbi Shimon's argument, his challenge is on two levels, okay? Both in regards to the newborn, all right, and in regards to the other situation. All right. Amar Rav Hoshaya, Chiluk haya Rabbi Shimon, af barishona, that Rabbi Shimon did a distinction, a separation, an argument, even in the first Mishnah, even in our earlier case.
No, even in the first of these two cases,
Right,
not the first Mishnah. We have two cases.
two,
He
right,
married
two
her,
situations.
Or he only did minor.
Okay,
And he argues with him the married case as well
we'll
as the
see,
minor.
we'll see. All right, my, based on what? Midikatani Mishnah Yetera, because he claims that there was a superfluous Mishnah. But Badarisha Leman Katanila, okay, in the earlier, the first level, the first example, the first text, okay, is that what we're talking about, according to whom? Elaim Rabbanan, if we're talking about the rabbis, Hashta Yabam Ulavasof Nolad. Okay, here we said that he performed Yibum, and then afterwards Levi was born. The Chi Ashkecha Behetera Ashkecha, because when he found her, she was permitted. She was found in a status of permission. Asrei Rabbanan, okay. If the rabbis forbid, Nolad v'achar kach yabam mebaye, where the rabbis forbid, it's a situation of born, and then afterwards the Yibum occurred. That's what we're asking about. Elelav, is it not the following? The Rabbi Shimon Itztarich, that it was necessary, okay, to clarify the view of Rabbi Shimon with these.
And that's the only reason this mission
Okay,
is brought.
and what here? Vitana Resha lahodiacha kochoda Rabbi Shimon. The first part, okay, was taught in order to clarify the strength of Rabbi Shimon's position. Vitana Seifa, and the later part, okay, lahodiacha kochan de Rabbanan, was to show you the strength of the rabbis. Ubadinhu, and it seems logical, the niflog Rabbi Shimon Beresha, that Rabbi Shimon should argue in the earlier case. Elenatar lahola Rabbanan ad Messiah lemiltaihu, but rather he simply waited, okay, for the rabbis to finish their view, their comments, their words. Vahadar palig alayhu. And then afterwards, he presented his argument
He should have
against them.
objected twice.
Right.
He didn't want to
They
fight.
waited
He
till
didn't
He
want to
was
fight.
polite.
He
wasn't-
waited till the end to show his disagreement.
That's right.
Ella rather, says the Gemara, Eshet achiv shelo haya ba'olamo. But rather, what about the situation of the newborn? Okay, Eshet achiv shelo haya ba'olamo. The Rabbi Shimon, hechi mishkachet la. How then does he handle that situation? Bechad achat umet. Okay, with one, okay,
No, he ignores.
One brother.
he
One
ignores
brother.
Reuven.
right?
He ignores Reuven. This little boy is born. He's got a big brother Shimon.
He was born at the time of an existing brother who
That's Shimon.
needed Yibum.
That's Shimon. No,
Okay,
he ignores Reuven.
well, all right. V'nolad lo ach. Okay, and then he had a brother. Inami. If that's the case, betray. What with regarding two, v'lo yibam v'lo yamit, where he didn't perform yibum and he didn't die. Bishlema yabam v'achar kach nolad. According to Rabbi Shimon, then we would say if he did yibum and then afterwards the brother was born, ki eshkecha behetera ashkecha. Okay, if you find her, you found her in a situation of permissibility. Ela nolad v'achar kach yabam maitam. But if he was born and afterwards,
So
okay.
he had a Zika bond.
Right, wait. And afterwards, okay, Shimon had done Yibam. What's the reasoning? Okay, that Rabbi Shimon would permit her in that situation. Kasavar yesh zika v'zika keknusa damya. That not only does he hold that there is a Zika bond, but the strength of the Zika bond is as powerful as marriage. Okay, that's what he argues. Okay, the Zamya. All right, let's finish up a little. Matkifla Rav Yosef, and Rav Yosef challenges this. Hashta Zika uma'amar misveka leila Rabbi Shimon. Here it would seem to be that Zika and Ma'amar, there is a problem, a doubt in Rabbi Shimon's mind.
Zika is marriage level.
Okay, so we'll see. Hold on. Whether, what is the question in Rabbi Shimon's mind? Asks, challenges Rav Yosef. If it's really equivalent to the level of marriage, or love kikanusadam, or if it's not, if the Zika is not equivalent to the level of the marriage. Zika lechuda mebaye. You could ask that about Zika in and of itself, without even the use of a ma'amar. Okay? Maihi, what is it? Ditznan, as we learn as follows. Shlosha achim, nisuin shlosha nashim nachriot. 3 brothers are married to 3 separate wives, separate women, not sisters, unrelated. Umet echad mehen, and one of them dies. Vasa ba sheni ma'amar, and the second brother writes a ma'amar with her. Umet, and that second brother dies. Haray elu choltzot v'lo mityabmot. These women must have chalitza and not yibum. Shene amar, as it says in the pasuk, umet echad mehem yibama yavo aleha, and dies one of them, says the pasuk. All right, and the yavama will then have relations with her. Mi she'aleha zikat yabam echad v'lo she'aleha zikat shnei yabamim. Okay, one that the status of Zika falls with one, and not where the status of Zika applies to 2. Now, what happens? Rabbi Shimon Omer, he says, Miyabeim le'eza mehen sheyirtzeh v'choletz l'shniya. He suggests he could have yibum to whichever one he wants, and the other one simply gets chalitza. Okay, yevume travaihu lo, but yibum to both of them,
You
the
can't
two,
acquire
no. The dilma yesh zikar vahavu shnei yevamot habaot. Just to roll over real quick, mibait echad yevume chada v'iftor idach, etc. So we'll really stop in the bottom of the Amud, okay? And I have to pick up, tell them to pick up tomorrow.
In this case,
Which
let's
case,
say there's three brothers,
right?
everything is fine. First brother dies, two brothers, father and the father wants to leave him, my brother's busy, and the second brother, the third brother does Lisa, he messes it up.
Yes, that's the end of that.
So Sunday, we only do one thing.
That's why you.
Assuming we can get the water and everything set up.
Because if you want to marry.
Down there.
you gotta have to-
Okay.
When are you moving to the library?
To the old library,
The old library,
theoretically on Sunday,
this coming Sunday.
right, okay? I'm gonna go check, look at the room now. Gary said there were a couple other things he needed to get ready.
Are there enough tables there?
We'll see. How many guys do we have right now? 2, 6, 8, 10.
We have about 12.
I see 13 present. Well, it depends how they set up. Yeah, but it depends on how they set up the tables.